Welcome back to Sensual Rebirth, the space where we talk about power, pleasure, and presence, especially when life calls us to rise up from pain and rediscover who we are at the soul level. Today's episode is very tender, yet powerful. We will be talking about the journey to spiritual awakening after death. Hello, Roxanne. How are you?
Greetings, beloved. I'm great. I'm happy to be here. This is a pleasure and it's an honor.
We should have been doing this a long time, but nothing better than the present, right?
Yep, that's it. Divine order.
A divine order.
Mhm,
Girl, I know the journey that you've been having.
mhm.
And it's not true to you through social media. So I know you're very open about talking about your passing of your son and
Yes.
how it has brought you where you are today.
Mhm.
But before we get into all of that, I want to know a little bit about you. I mean, the juicy part though. So nice and
Okay.
juicy about who
Juicy stuff.
Who Roxanne Brown is.
Who is Roxanne Brown? Well, I perceive myself many different ways to many different people in many different circumstances. And I don't really aspire to one necessary title or label. I know the main things that I've come to rest in the best version of myself is that I am a healer of the collective. Um, I'm a star seed, I'm a light worker. I'm a mother, but like I'm just not only a mother to my children. I'm a co-worker because I work. I'm a bike rider because I ride my bike.
Well,
So I
motorbike
kind
or
of,
bicycle? Which one we talking about?
well, both. I used to ride motorcycle and now I ride only bike.
Look at you. Okay, so we're gonna dig a little bit deeper into a couple words that you just said. I'm talking about starseed and all of that, because I'm sure that's gonna be flying over a lot of person's head because honestly, a lot of people don't even know what a starseed is.
Right.
Before we get into all of that though, we were speaking briefly yesterday when you talked about how your life started. Like you've always had this special gift, but was unaware that you were such a powerful being. Could you walk me into what made you think or knew that you were here for a reason at the age of 13?
Well, I knew that I was very different. I could feel it. I could sense it that I was very different from my peers. Like I would see, because we start high school in Montreal at 13, I think. Yeah, at 13. So yeah, or 12. So very different. We're still very young at that age.
Mhm.
But I was very aware that like they don't think how I think. I could feel it in the playground, how people would play with each other, and even just observing like the bullying happening and realizing like that's not healthy. That's very dark stuff. And like having this perception far beyond that like the poor bully is going through his own things and here he is doing this. And although today we can understand that, but at 13, we would never be thinking that.
Mm-mm.
But it was just a weird intuition that I had. Well, I shouldn't say weird, but for me at the time felt like a weird intuition. And so I couldn't voice it. I didn't hear nobody else saying that. I didn't hear anybody say, poor guy, like, can you imagine what he's going through at home? Or poor girl, look what could imagine what she's going through. And so when they weren't saying that, I was like, oh no, what you're thinking can't be right because you're the only one. And that's the feeling that I had.
Mhm.
And I get messages there and here and there not to do certain things. And I never had reasons. And because at 13, it was kind of like, well, I want to do what I want to do. You know what I mean? And I thought it was always okay because I was like, nothing else was stopping me. But there's actual times where I would hear something telling me, yeah, no, not today. You
Mm-mm.
can't
Mm-mm.
go can't go to that boy house today. No, 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 no. And then after that, like, I mean, one example that I had was I was like 14 and I wanted to leave school and see this guy. And he was at a place that was not the safest space for me to be at. And then it was so interesting and not interesting, but like that night, so I wanted to leave school to go. I never ended up following through. And that night, like his place got busted by the police. And I was like, well, that's interesting. I'm supposed to be there. But I was directed away. And that's an example of things that had happened throughout my life. Still not really aligning anything. I can only tell you now in retrospect. But I
Mhm.
didn't know anything till I was in my 30s.
But
I
it's okay.
didn't.
it's so strange that you're saying this. Like, you're hearing or getting these intuitions. We're going to call it intuitions because, your
Yeah,
gut is speaking to you, or whatever is
yeah.
speaking to you to not to go, and you listen. Which 14-year-old
Mhm.
you know that, listen, I'm going anyways. I'm going.
Right.
Right. So
That's
for you to make that call at that age it's amazing.
yeah. And it was a very natural voice because I was so against rules and all authority, that voice came over very different. And
Mm.
so, and I think it's almost like it was designed for me because knowing it's almost like divine knows, listen, she don't like rules, so she doesn't want to hear anything that's curbing her. We have
Yeah.
to talk different, so she's gonna catch it. That's what I feel. If I think there was a transcript for divine, I think that's what it was coming through was like she needs to hear it different. So it would come through very simple for me, and I'd be like, oh yeah, no, that's
So
we don't
okay.
have to fight that. Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't telling you, it was like soothing you not to go. So there's a difference, right? Because
Yes, there was
that's what I mean. I
definitely
like when people tell me what to do either, but if it
exactly.
comes in differently, then I thought, okay,
It
that's
did.
close. So I
Yeah, yeah,
get what you're saying.
yeah, yeah,
Wow. So I
yeah.
know you said you've had this inkling that you were special when it comes to spirituality, but did
Mm.
it heighten more after your son's passing?
Yes, it became very clear for me, I think, because I was asking the question. I was like,
Mm.
he's gone. And I know my understanding immediately was he finished his mission. He came to do what he came to do, and his father called him home. So I was like, so what am I still doing here? Why you never take me with him? Like, I don't understand. How come I couldn't go with him? Like, why am I still here? Because I was very aware that like there has to be a reason. Like I'm here for a reason. And I kind of just felt like, so please just tell me. I was almost like in a begging. Well, of course it was part of the grief too. And I was almost begging, like, tell me what I'm still doing here because he's gone and he did what he came to do. Let me make sure that I came to do what I'm supposed to do. And I think I was like, I'm pretty sure I was on my knees at some point, like begging and crying and trying to align with like, there's no way you have me here and you take me pick me and you have me here just to sit on and raise the other two. Like that there's no way that this is all that it is. And so I think in the pleading, it was like the answer had came over maybe a period of maybe months. Yeah, it felt like the answer came over a period of months and just these things kept coming at me. So it was like COVID came and it was like these courses were coming at me and all these things were going on. And it was things that like I wouldn't normally have aligned with, you know, although if I looked at the trajectory of my life, I would have been like, yeah, no, you were always gonna do that. But that's not what I felt at the time. And so it was like, okay, let me just okay, I'm being called to do this instructor. It was called Sudarshan Kriya. So it's a Kriya, it's a kind of breath work. And so I was called to do the instructor, not to learn the course, but to do the instructor teaching of it. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. I'm not even into breath work. Like, why would I so I did it. And, you know, and this is all, you know, transpiring after my son passes. And, but it's, I truly believe every time I think about that, I truly believe it's because I was begging for like, what is it? Like, what am I supposed to do now? And then
Hmm.
it started to just rush at me like a couple of months, maybe even like 2 months. It just started to rush at me. Here's all the answers. Here's all the things that you always knew, but let me remind you. And that's what was happening. Even that experience in learning the Sudarshan Kriya, I was having adverse symptoms while I was doing it compared to my class. So like I started to go into uh I was learning the course, I didn't sleep the full 4 days of the course. And so when I asked the instructor, she's like, well, this has never happened to any of our students. I'm not sure how to help you. And I said, you need to ask your supervisor what's happening because I'm staying up and I was doing what I later found out because they didn't know. The instructor actually couldn't tell me. I was daytime dreaming and I was like lit. I don't know how to explain it, but I was living life constantly in my daytime dream. And that's what it was for those 3 days because it's breath work is real. Like it taps you into places that you probably don't know about till you do it.
It's so funny that you're talking about that. I'm a big fan of breath work, especially deep diaphragm breath work.
Mhm.
People don't understand how much it can connect you to your true self. So this conversation that we're having is very dear to my heart because I know how spiritual you are. And that's when I thought,
Mhm.
oh my God, I need to speak to this girl about her whole spirituality and where her walk is. I know you mentioned them other questions that you were asking, like what's going on, why him and not me? Like, he came, did his work, but what am I here to do? Right. And so those are very powerful questions, so you're asking them like deep gut. And
Mhm.
they spill over and start giving you the answers, right? So when the
Mhm.
answers were coming, again, this is your son,
Mhm.
firstborn son. And although the answers were coming, what kind of mindset were you in?
I think I went robotic. And for some reason, so I look back and I realized that's what was probably saving me, that I never immersed myself fully in the grief. I
Mm,
never immersed
I
myself fully in the
understand that.
grief. Right. And so like, and it wasn't planned. It was just like, listen, I gotta do the things. Me ask for the things and he must send me, so me have to do it, you know? So I'm like, I gotta do the thing. So let me just do the things. And it was always lined up. All the things like this, all lined up. And so I was busy doing that. Busy doing that. And funny enough, once I did that, and it's, again, I can look back now how it was transpiring. And what it was I was getting all the tools to be able to grieve healthy, to grieve and tap into the other side, to grieve and call on my ancestors, to grieve. That's why I was like distracted, heavily distracted for that period of time. Because then when the grief started to come, I wasn't grieving like I would have if I was the version that I was before I did all that work. But the thing is, the work distracted me from my grief. I could feel it because I would see, like, I would have friends who are going through, their parents passing and things like that, and like torn to shreds. And I'm just like, come, let me counsel you. Come sit down, and I'm a coach. And they're like,
Let me do this,
you're
let me do this.
and they were like, your son passed. We don't want to bring this to you. And I said, well, let me tell you that you're bringing this to me. Like, let me say that to you that I can't do it. If I'm
Mm,
inviting you, then you take it. You know what
right.
I mean?
Yeah.
And so that I know that's hard for people, especially for Black women, but that was my truth. It was like, no, no, no. If I say it, because I can do it, you know? And so
Mhm.
I was in those positions where it's like the tools had me already start the work, already start the star seed, the light worker work. So it was kind of
Mhm.
like, okay, I guess what this is I'm supposed to do. Like, I guess this is what and it was coming naturally. It was just flowing to me to be able to counsel. I was counseling from I was probably around maybe like 10, 11 years old, counseling all my peers at
I believe
school.
you. I believe you because you're the anomaly that you're saying they're bullying and that doesn't seem right. Growing up is like, am I bullying? Yes. I were like, we're in there, but here
Right.
you are standing in the background saying, this doesn't feel right.
Mhm.
You know,
Right.
poor kid must
Yeah.
have all these things going on at home. We don't think that way. So you're absolutely an anomaly for to be thinking that way, because we get excited over high energy that doesn't serve us
Hmm.
constantly, right? So I like what you said that you didn't necessarily immerse yourself in the grief. Do you believe that it's overtelling story or projection? That's why people immerse themselves in so much grief that it hurt them, or that you're just saying, like self-blame?
I think it's all of the above because everybody's journey is different. And so, depending on how they were raised and how their family reacted and responded to grief and loss and dying,
Mhm,
um, that's where it will come from for them. But a
mhm,
lot of times it's layers of things of how it's going to affect them, because the person who's, the big and loud and go crazy, that's how they're gonna grieve. You're gonna hear it big and loud and go crazy. So like a lot of the times that's what I would see, like when I was doing some of that. And the thing is, I never intentionally was doing grief counseling. It just turned out that that's what it was. Like it was people who were grieving who were coming to me, but I never considered myself that I was grief counseling. But it's
mhm,
it wasn't put together that way for me. For me, it was just like, well, they're coming and they're going through something and they coming and they want to sit and talk about it and they want somebody to hear and somebody to listen and to hear them listen and then hear them. And so, in the process of doing that, it was only, I guess a light went on. It's like, oh my gosh, all these people are grieving. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like an afterthought, but it
Mhm.
never started that way. But yeah, that's how it went.
There's always one thing that triggers something and it becomes a domino effect.
Yes, most definitely. Most
Yeah.
definitely.
So in this passing, and I should say in that awakening, what did it teach you about yourself and about love?
What did it teach me about myself? I think the first thing was what I realized about myself was that I didn't love myself. Like, because it was like immediate. It was like, oh my goodness, look at what you've been putting yourself through, and look at how you treat yourself in these different circumstances. And even within being able to say that, I didn't know what that was about. And eventually I came to a point like I was like, oh, so you don't really love yourself unconditionally. Like you love yourself, but you don't love yourself unconditionally. And that's what I realized. And then so I learned to do that. I learned to love myself. I think I came to realizations after his passing, like, oh, so this is the game of life, and there's better ways to play this. Um, so I can be happy and joyful all the time. There's different ways to do it, and that's another realization that I'd come to. Um, I think also that I realized like I'm here for a reason and a purpose. And I've been doing this all the time, not knowing. And so now let me just jump on it and ride fast because now I know. And that's pretty much the main things that had come to me.
What do you mean you didn't love yourself unconditionally? What does that mean?
So for me, it took years to understand unconditional love, because I feel like I probably experienced it, but no one was teaching me it, if that makes any sense. um, Because the love that I had when my son passed, the love that I had was very superficial, very like I just love myself on like on a daily basis. And, when I think about things that I want to do for myself, I do the things for myself. You know, um, and that's as far as it goes. Now, if we want to talk about my feelings get hurt and allowing and being in situations and like kind of manifesting situations where my feelings are getting hurt or like I'm being treated a certain way, that's when it was tapping into the unconditional love. And the unconditional love was like, so whether you like yourself today, Roxanne, or you like how you look, or you like what you said, or you like what you do, you have to love yourself no matter what. What does that look like? Well,
Mhm.
that looks like when I say the thing that is not of high vibration to myself, I correct it.
Mm.
No, you didn't know that was going to happen. That was the best judgment that you knew at the time, and the tools you have now, you can do better. No, that's that lesson you were supposed to learn with that relationship. You didn't attract this, that, and the other. That was a mirror for you to get to the next level of your ascension. Love yourself. I love you. I love you for trying. I love you for doing the best you could do when your children were this age. I love you when you were this time in your life and all you knew was to do this and you did that. And I love you and I forgive you for what you didn't know. And that was like the unconditional love coming in, being able to be like, all the things that I felt shame and guilt for in the past, coming back to them and revisiting them and then just loving myself through it because they were always going to come back. Like till I
Mhm.
loved them and released them, they were always going to come back. So that in that process of them coming back to be released so I can get to the next version of myself, I would just love it and be like, "Oh, I remember when I did that when I was 15 and here I am 50 years old and I'm doing this again." And I'm like, "But it's okay, because like I love you. I love you. Like I'm
Mhm.
gonna lay you down. I'm gonna give you rest. I'm gonna give you rest today because that was deep. That was draining for you because going
Mhm.
from 15 and then only resolving it at 50, that's draining. So I'm gonna give you rest today. You're gonna take the rest of
Mhm.
the day off of work."
So if someone is listening right now, Roxanne, and I love the way you said, you keep going back and you're acknowledging that this doesn't feel right, right? And you have to somehow figure out how to let go of the things that no longer serve you, the hurt, the unconditional love, because you only love yourself on condition let's say you look in the mirror, you look, oh, I'm beautiful today. I'm looking great. So, there goes that love. But when you're down and out, oh, we're always constantly finding fault with ourselves, right? So,
Yeah.
how would you advise someone who may look in the mirror and is not feeling herself, or that she's sitting in this place of darkness? I'm always constantly reliving this whole life, in whatever capacity. How did you, or how would you tell a woman how to step into her powerful feminine self?
I would say mirror work is absolutely amazing. But if you feel you're not ready for something extremely powerful, take your time and maybe don't do the mirror work right away. But if you are sitting with yourself and you're looking at yourself, and not literal, but looking at yourself, all the parts of yourself, and you want to get to that stage of like just embodying that self-love, it's it's talking to the inner child. And when you're in that space, ask yourself why. What is the original thing? What happened? And or ask your inner child, what happened? Ask your 12-year-old, 13-year-old, sometimes 10-year-old self, what happened? Why I feel this way today at 45? What happened long time ago? Talk to your inner child. Sit down, journal to your inner child. What happened that resembles what happened yesterday, October 12th? What resembles that situation that I got triggered and like I spiraled? What
Mhm.
happened? You can talk to your inner child. A lot gets really revealed. And the thing is, you can do it in that way where you're sitting with yourself in a quiet space. It'll still come. Or you can lie down and you can meditate. I meditate a lot of times lying down, and meditation reveals a lot for me. But a lot of the times it's easier once I have the meditation and I'm finished. I go and journal it. That usually reveals a lot to me. But it's to
Mhm.
always talk to the inner child, because that's who's fighting to get through, to catch up with you, to
Mhm.
catch up with
Mhm.
you where you are in your like you're 50 and you've healed so many things. Your inner child is sitting there like, yo, me too. Me want that
Mhm.
too. I'm waiting
Mhm.
for you to get to these parts.
Mhm.
That's what it is.
It sounds nice, and for those like yourself who have like that you're here for a reason. You've been questioning yourself from you're 13, right? But then you have persons, other women who's been just going through survival mode consistently. And even from they were children, depending on your household or you were grown up. And all they
Mhm.
witness is survival mode. It's constantly going, going, going. And live in a society that tells you if you hear a voice speaking to you, that's not a physical person, that means you're mad. We come from a
Mhm.
Caribbean background, that's like that.
Yeah, of
Nobody
course.
can speak to you, you're mad, right? And if you're going through certain things, we have to keep it to ourselves because nothing out of the house or out in are in you you're supposed to talk about, right? So now you're
Right.
50 years old, and then you hear Roxanne saying, "Oh, this person is speaking to you," or ask yourself this you ask yourself all these questions, and they're gonna look at Roxanne and say, "Oh, what's wrong with this girl?
Mm.
Who's gonna answer me?" You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
when
Mhm.
you're so programmed, Roxanne, and we're not saying all what you're saying or is easy. It is very hard, but when you're so programmed into saying, I'm not gonna be asking myself all these questions. I'm just gonna sit here and wallow in self-pity. You know, I would love for you, for those stubborn persons that saying thinking that you're talking bull crap, to reframe it and kind of hook them and say, no, man, let's do this together. What would
Mhm.
be your messages or your message to those women who don't believe or understand the kind of journey that you've been on? I understand it because I've been there. So I get it. So
Mhm.
it's easy and lovable for me because I've done what you've done. But for those women who have no clue and have heard it and think journaling, I've been journaling for years and nothing isn't happening, right?
Mhm.
So how could we reframe your messages for those women who are just sitting and still not believing what you're trying to talk to them about or preach to them about?
Mhm.
I know that was long, but hey.
Yeah, no. Well, I think about my clients and like how we get to that point. Because as you say, this is a one-off, like, right? They didn't know me before this, and they might not know me after this. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, what's that thing that just hooks? Because
Mm.
with my clients, they get to know me. They trust everything I say, everything I do, right? We've built a relationship. But the thing that always sticks, even early, very early in our relationship, and before we even have a real relationship, is when I tell them, have you ever sat with yourself? And they're kind of like, well, of course I would sit. And I said, no, but like, when we define what I mean by sat with yourself, like, have you ever sat quietly, nothing going on, and you're not thinking about the next thing to do and the thing
Mm.
before that? Have you ever done that? And if you have not, and most of the time they have not,
Of course.
do that and see what comes out of that. But the truth is, it's work on their part, right? It's
Absolutely.
already work, period, but it's work on their part to allow their nervous system to say, yeah, man, I'm sitting with myself. It's
Mm-hmm.
work because you have to genuinely sit with yourself. It's in quietness, it's in solitude, it's in loneliness, it's in alone time. That's
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to you. And no matter who you are and what you've been through, how busy things are, the one time that you truthfully, deliberately, intentionally sit with yourself, things will be revealed. It's happened
Absolutely.
all the time.
You know what? And I agree with you 100%. A lot of women don't feel safe in their body. You know,
Yeah.
this is where a lot of they don't feel safe. So sitting quiet for them was always going to bring something up. And it's always bad memories. You know, they
Right.
live in for years and get great things and just have that one bad experience, and that one bad experience just overlaps all the good. And it's
Of
always
course.
and it's always on repeat, right?
Right.
Um, we have this thing that your internal speaks, your organs speaks, you know. We could be here looking happy, 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 having great
Mhm,
conversation, but when you go home and being by yourself, then your body goes into this, I'm not feeling safe, you
mhm,
know? So how do I overcome and tell my body that I am safe? What you mentioned was breath work.
mhm.
I want you to talk about the Sardina Kriya.
Yeah.
How
Sudarshan Kriya. Sudarshan.
Sudarshan Kriya.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kriya.
So how
Yeah.
would one do that breath work to calm their
So so that's probably a really big one. So you would never start with that one.
okay, what would
Um,
be an easy one to start with?
So box breathing. Box breathing is one. Even my daughter's therapist had taught, she's only 12, had taught her that. So when you're holding the breath and then waiting to get to the next breathe out and then holding it again and then breathe in, the body automatically goes into a mode that is, if we could give a transcript to what the heart and the nervous system feeling, it would be
Mm-hmm.
saying, oh, I'm good. Oh, I'm
Mm-hmm.
okay. I'm safe here. It
Mm-hmm.
automatically creates safety for the body. It's a language of safety for the body, right?
Mm-hmm.
So automatically you start going into this place where like, oh, your nervous system's like, oh no, everything's fine. And it doesn't matter where you are, what you're doing. It's like a trigger for your body. And it's knowing that everything, even if it's not safe, even if around there it's not safe, once you start the box breathing, you go into that safe place. So Darshan Kriya is a very big, the course was a very big course. And it's a very intensive breathing because when you're going through the course, you can become high while you're doing it because of the kind
Yeah,
of
that
breathing
was
that you're
what I
doing.
did in
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not regular breathing. Yeah, and so like you have to be prepared for that, all of that as well. And I'm really disappointed in the instructor that never explained that to us. But like through doing it is what I learned that myself, and I was like, oh no, this is not just for any sister
Would it
out
be,
there. They have to be prepared.
would it be like fire breath?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
definitely. Because in Sudarshan Kriya, I think there's 3 or 4 levels, and each level is a different type of breathing. And so
Mm-hmm.
fire breath is definitely one that's called what do they call it? Uh Nadi Shodan. That's what the fire breath is.
Ooh, okay. Because
Yeah.
I'll do this
Yeah.
because I'm very good at doing the fire breath. Well, okay.
Uh-huh.
So for
Yeah.
1 minute,
Yes.
for those who are watching, let's do a box breathing together.
Okay. All
Walk
right.
through that.
Okay. So we're gonna breathe in for 6, hold for 6, breathe out 6, and we can do it one round.
Okay.
So breathe in for 6, hold for 6, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe out through the mouth. for 6. Hold again for 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe out for 6. Hold for 6. Breathe out for 6. Hold. That's 1 round. I don't know if you want to do 2 rounds, but that's 1 round.
No, that one is good. Woo!
Yeah.
Wow. Roxanne, this was powerful. This was powerful. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing your heart with us. It's just a reminder that even through grief, there's path back to love and light. And you are a depiction of that. You are a leader in showing, like, if I can do it, anyone can do it. So,
Mhm.
Roxanne, thank you so much for being here with us. My name is Donna Savage, and I am your embodiment relationship expert. Cheers.
Blessings.